right, everybody, welcome. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records. Today on Dat Fury Radio, Matt Tate from Sheffield, England. What's going on, Matt?
Hello. I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Matt and I have been talking for a while. Matt puts out music as M Tate, and he's got a wonderful new album out called 2024 Recordings. We're going to listen to some of that. In fact, I'm going to get some of that started now. And then, Matt, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit and kind of tell the listeners the story of how I found your music. And jump in at any point, of course. But there is a public synth forum called Mod Wiggler. I probably mentioned it on the podcast a time or two before. And sort of by coincidence, that's where I got introduced to your music. You posted in December of 23, almost a year and a half ago, your album Alone. It just kind of, I was on at the right time. It was at the top of the list. You said it was ambient. I clicked on it and I really enjoyed it a lot. In fact, I put it on my best of 2024 year-end list because I didn't get around to listening to it until like January of 24.
Thank you. What an honor.
Well, thank you. I mean, I mean it all. It's really beautiful music. I've listened to it a lot, and continue to. And 2024 Recordings is just, you know, a nice extension of it. So, do you want to tell me about, you know, where did your musical journey start? Was it in childhood? Was it singing, piano, and other instruments? Was it in adulthood?
I guess my mum had like a giant acoustic guitar, and like for our childhood she'd sing certain songs. Like she wasn't amazing, but you know, she could play a couple of tunes, and like one of them was Rainbow Connection by like
Lovely
Frog, you know.
Lovely.
So those are like my earliest musical memories. And then like for 2 weeks I did piano lessons or something, you know, and then sort of stopped doing that. And I think when I was about 16 I got into guitar because like my cousin had got into guitar, you know. So I got a little electric guitar and a little tiny amp and whatever, and started trying to learn stuff, you know, punk, whatever. The A-Team theme was a big one for me at the time, you know, just trying to rock out along to that.
Nice. And how old were you roughly at that time?
Would have been about 16, 17, I guess then.
Sure.
So I did guitar and drums for a while, and then at one point I got like a Novation, it's like Supernova, Ultranova, like this blue digital keyboard synth engine thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point I sort of went dormant for a few years because like life took over and I had a job and other stuff. And then when I moved to Sheffield, my little brother moved in with me, and he had a Korg Elect Tribe and a what's the mini log. He had a mini log. So then I started buying Volcas and stuff, and eventually it really took a hold of me. You know, I ended up with a massive studio full of synths. That's when I started doing electronica. Like the first album I released as an electronic project was quite Boards of Canada-y, sort of Aphex Twinny. So I'd call it electronica, you know. And then from there I started a process of trying to strip everything back into just like textural, very long. I say it's quite sparse, you know, compositionally what I do. Quite slow, generally sounds quite spacey. And I think the first album I called 2017, so I've been on this journey for like 7 years now or something. Just like chasing whatever my idea of perfection is at that time, I guess. Not to sound too lofty, But
No, but yeah, we're all chasing something. It is. So your recent stuff does tend to be quite sparse and spacey in terms of, there's not a lot of instruments going on at the same time. It's the opposite of busy, but one thing that isn't so sparse and part of why I love your music is there's a little more harmonic complexity than a lot of ambient music has, and that's, I love a lot of stuff that is simpler harmonically, but one of the things that draws me to your music is I feel like a lot of ambient music can be quite diatonic and kind of stick to a scale, and I haven't done any type of like analysis or anything to understand from a more theoretical perspective what you're doing, but you're definitely doing more than just diatonic noodling and an occasional chord change.
I think so. I guess for a little time I was in a swing band, so I got used to the jazz chords, I was a swing dancer for a while, so I was in a little shitty swing band, and I played guitar and chunked away on it.
Nice.
So I got used to bigger chords then. And I think in the ambient, I don't think I try to never play a major chord, I guess, play a lot of extended seconds and fourths and then just extend it, Quite a lot of the time I'll be playing one chord with one hand on one synth and I play a different chord on the other one, and I like the overlaps and the rubs you get and the tensions and whatnot. So it's not massively mentally contrived, I guess, but just, I do it a lot and eventually you get ones that sound good together. So that's, I guess, the compositional process I have, really.
It's pretty intuitive then. You're jamming around until you kind of find something and an arrangement starts to take shape.
I think so, yeah. I don't really ever sit down and consciously think like, this is what I want to do today. It's generally I'm just sitting down and I'll spend about an hour noodling around on something, and then towards the end of that I'll record it, like, this is what I've done today. So most of the stuff I record is the result of one session, or each track is one session of effort. I don't return back to it because of how I sort of record, so there's no overdubs in any of it. It's all done live somehow. Like in the 2024 sessions that was getting to the end of it, like behind me I had a massive wooden rack that I'd built, so I had like 3 layers and I had like 4 polysynths available to use at one time, so it got a bit ridiculous, really. And I've stripped it all down now, so because like it was too much and it got to be quite intimidating,
Sure.
In terms of trying to wrangle it all, because I was trying to do it in a sort of DAW less way, I don't want to get Ableton involved in the sequencing or whatever. So I had an MPC one, which is sort of cheating because it's just a computer in a box, isn't it, really?
It feels different though, doesn't it, to use rather than having the mouse and the monitor and everything?
Yeah, like I can't just get bored and go and read Blue Sky or TikTok or whatever,
Right.
It sort of constrains my focus, I guess.
And so we can see that process, of course, in the song titles for this project too. Like this is 1/11/24, which is, I'm guessing, is November 1/24.
Yes, not the American date system, sadly.
Right. And then I even use, so I do a lot of computer stuff at work, and my personal date format is like the military one, right? Or it would be like 20, like year, month, day, so it all alphabetizes in order. So I'd be like 2024 11 1. completely
is the date
backwards.
format I use when I'm writing my estimates. So I'm a tradesperson, so I do estimates and invoices, and I use that date format. So then they all sort properly when I look
Exactly.
in the fold, just makes sense.
Well, I know. So I'm gonna tell you what question, but then let's let a minute or so of this go so that listeners can really hear this piece. But I know you had this is one of the pieces you picked, 1/11/24 to maybe talk about a little bit. So let's let a minute or so go by, and then tell us why you picked this one for the podcast, or like what this one means to you. Maybe is the wrong word, but what it reminds you of, or what inspired it.
I picked this one because I think this is maybe as close as I've got to what I want to make, really. Like, I guess I listened to the album again and wrote some notes about what I actually think about it, and I put like it's slow, grinding, majestic, spacey, empty. You know, I think it's got all the tones and textures that I sort of like. Everything's sort of drenched in reverb, you know. So I think it is like, I don't know, maybe the quintessential M Tate sort of sound, I guess, that I've been working towards. You know, I listen to a lot of ambient music when I'm like going to sleep, when I'm walking places, when I'm doing work. If I can put it on, then I will. I just find that, you know, it's nice and slow. It helps slow me down, I think. Whereas if you listen, you know, when I'm working the radios on, you know, it's pop music's going away at 120 beats per minute or whatever, I feel it's generally quite chaotic and faster than I want to be, you know. So I find this sort of helps me. You know, I think it sounds maybe slightly remorseful, or, you know, there's maybe quite a bit of a minor tonality to it, I think. It doesn't sound happy, I guess. That's how I feel most of the time, I guess.
Yeah, I think all that resonates with what I get out of it too. And I mean, obviously, if you're avoiding major chords for the most part, that's gonna give it a certain air. But yeah, grinding and majestic, I think those are both true, and yet they're not descriptors you typically find together.
No, it's like I guess in grinding, like two big chunks of ice like sliding past each other, you know. And I think it sort of sounds a bit, you know, like light refracting through ice, or when you see these great big shots of like just galaxies in the middle of nowhere, you know. Like, I don't think it's maybe, you know, like in Blade Runner when they're like the Tannhauser Gate and stuff like that. Sort of, I don't know, like beauty on an unimaginable scale, maybe, like, or awe, maybe. I don't want to sound too pretentious or anything, but I think those are sort of all the images it conjures up for me, maybe. Yeah. And I like that, I think.
I do too, obviously. So here's 9924. And I agree that sorry, go. I'll let you go ahead in just a second, but I agree that 111 is a great opener, a great kind of thesis statement or entry point to what M Tate is doing.
Yeah, it scares off the casuals. Is this for 9 minutes? What are you doing? Yeah.
You're going to say something about this one?
I think this is one of the more complex compositions, if you want to call it that, in this collection. This was when I was experimenting with actually using like the soft synths that were built into the MPC-1, so there's probably about 7 different parts going on this, you know, fade in and out, and I was trying to use like the probabilistic sequencing as much as possible, so, you know, different bits fire off here and there, and it never sort of repeats again, I guess, for the entirety of the piece of music. Yeah, this one's got like a distinct lead part on it, I guess, which I don't generally have, or it's got melodies that are recognisable as such, I guess.
In your recordings, you're typically mixing things that are programmed with live playing?
Yeah, where that keyboard is, I had a Hydrasynth. I really liked the Hydrasynth because it had the polyphonic aftertouch. So generally, I'd be controlling one synth with that, and also using the keyboard on a Korg Op6 as well. That would only ever control the Op6, you know. So, but the Hydrasynth went into the MPC-1, and I could spit that out to whatever I wanted to control, you know.
Gotcha.
So generally there's 2 parts that I'm playing live, one hand on each, or sometimes I'd double up hands on the Hydrasynth to get really big chords, and then the rest of it would be just pre-composed melodies or loops with a lot of as much probabilistic stuff as I could put on them, you know.
At the beginning of when you come in to your creative space, do you have a starting point, or it's completely blank? You touch a key and see what happens, or do you have a little idea maybe to get you going?
Generally, I don't really have any ideas. I just come in. Like I made all my own presets, so I go to my preset bank and just start playing about, really. See what I feel like on the day, and go from there. Like, I think I've not got the link in my head between being able to hum something and then instantly play it, you know. I've not got that sort of perfect pitch or anything close to that, so generally I just come in as a blank slate. Like, it's not like I've thought of a melody somewhere and I've remembered it and I come in and try and get that down. I just set off and see what comes out that day, really. So there's no great mystique or intent behind it, I guess, other than just using it as like a spontaneous release sort of. Sorry.
I too, when it comes to like synth music, I don't typically have a melody or a chord or anything like that, but I often will have like a technical thing I want to explore. Like, it might just be an instrument, you know, tonight I'm going to use the Hydrasynth, or it might be just a little, tonight I'm going to modulate the filter with the poly aftertouch and just just to get me in, because the completely blank slate can be so intimidating sometimes for me.
Yeah, I think that is very true. I guess, like a lot of the time I've released an album, it's because I've had a significant change in equipment I've made available to myself at that time. So each separate album's like exploring a different iteration of what I'm using to make music, I guess. So then, yeah, I guess the main preoccupation I have is like, how slow can I make something? You know,
yeah.
How little can I play, and also how much reverb can I put on something at any one point before it sounds ridiculous? And the interplay of those, I guess, is a lot of what I find interesting in the ambient music space, I think. Some nice little moments.
So good. Yeah, I couldn't talk over it.
And you could hear some like tape fry. I don't know if that's the right term, but like I've got a Tascam 414 there that I use as my mixer, and like I record everything to tape before I put it into Ableton. So sometimes you get nice little bits of clipping in there and whatever. Because I've been using the same bit of tape for like a year now.
Oh, nice.
Constantly recording,
just re-recording, yeah.
To try and get that sort of degraded effect.
You must have. So I'm going to start 29.804. Is it 29.824? But you must have quite a listening, editing kind of practice too. If you're, making recordings fairly frequently, choosing 8 to put out for the year,
Yes, I've got quite a tolerant partner. That really helps because like I record it and then I run downstairs, get into bed and put it on. It's like, no, I've got to listen to this to try it out. So yeah, like I've always got a folder on my phone of like things I've recently recorded, and I just listen to it over and over again, like until I've got a sense of whether I like one or not. And if I don't like it, I bin it off. But if I like it, I'll keep that, and that can go on the next collection,
Mm-hmm.
Because like I've got a membership at a local cinema, so like it's a 40-minute walk there and a 40-minute walk back, so that gives me lots of time to like audition stuff and listen to it and work out whether I actually like it or not,
And that's a kind of constant process. You're listening, then you kind of find one, and market, and you're just... It's not like you sit down and listen to a year's worth of stuff and pick the 8 or whatever.
No, it's like constant refinement. So when I've chosen one, when I found one I like, I don't pull it out of what I'm listening to. It stays in there. So I guess it's a bit like a Hunger Games or a Battle Royale situation, you know, where new stuff comes in. It can push out old stuff, or the old stuff can hang about, and if I like it, I'll keep it. Like I've got another like 10 songs I'm listening to at the minute from this new setup that I've been using that I want to try and put out maybe around June or something, because I've actually got a gig coming up then.
Cool.
So it'd be good to put out an album of music and then play stuff that's vaguely like what I've released at that time, you know? I think that would be good.
For gigs, do you mostly improvise? Because it's got to be hard to recreate jams from a year or 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, yes, I think as a mission statement, it's like I don't want to play songs that I've already written, I guess. It's like if I get a gig, I'm gonna improvise it, I think. There's obviously pitfalls to that, like it can go wrong.
Sure.
It has gone wrong, but I sort of like that, and I feel, because it's ambient music, it's not like anyone's got to be like, oh, play this one, play that one. So yeah, I think I like that, and also I guess all these different songs have been because I've got different hardware, so like I can't recreate what I did when I had a Prophet Rev 2 exactly with a Hydra synth or whatever I'm trying to do. Yeah, so whenever I play live, it's all improvised. But it's going to be the same sort of thing, you know. It's going to be massive pads.
Yeah.
It's going to be. And yeah.
It sounds like you have a fair amount of gear kind of coming and going. It comes in, you use it, and then you move it on, get something else.
Yeah, I've got a massive spreadsheet that's quite embarrassing of like everything I've bought and everything I've sold, you know, and I can see exactly how much money I've flushed down the toilet over the years or whatever. But I guess for I had a Euro rack at one point, and that was like at my consumerist low or whatever, because, you know, it's like, oh, I'll just buy another module and that'll make up for not putting any practice into actually doing music for the week. So I think generally I find myself to feel quite, I don't know what the word is, but I don't like having stuff I'm not using, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll buy stuff, I'll try it for a little while, and if I'm not getting along with it, I just get rid of it, you know? Because I don't want to feel captured by it, I guess.
Definitely.
Which I think I have done in the past. Because like I've had the same acoustic guitar since I was 18, I guess. So I've had that for 20 years now, and that's fine. But then trying to do electronic music in a hardware form is just a completely different hellscape, isn't it?
Depending, well, it can be. Yeah, I actually just finished. So I make synth music, I make kind of rock, whatever, guitar music. I just finished recording some acoustic tracks with my high school, like my one acoustic guitar. I learned on a free one, which I still have. It was given to me. Classical, you know, nylon string. And then my parents bought me a nice but student model acoustic. That's still, like, that is my acoustic guitar to this day. But to kind of circle back, like, and from some things I read, you know, on your website, like, you strike me as quite a mindful guy. You're thinking about and tell me if I'm wrong, but the listening process that you go through, the meditative quality of both the music and the way that you make it, the way you approach gear. Maybe the question that I'm sensing behind it all is kind of, is this necessary? Is this serving my goals?
I think that's fair, yeah. I think, yeah, because I guess, like I struggle with consumerism and not wanting to, just make endless piles of rubbish, so. And it's good that there's a healthy, like, second-hand market for synths and whatnot, so you can get them cheaper, you don't lose all your money. And also, it's like I've got a finite amount of space to do stuff in. Yeah. So, yeah. I think if I don't, yeah. Because, like, I really wanted a Lyra 8 for years, and then I got one. And, like, my ear's not good enough to use it, really. To me, it feels a bit like trying to crack a safe because you're trying to tune all these knobs, and it's just. Sorry about that. Don't know if you.
Oh no, it's all. I've got a long history with the Lyra, actually. Well, not that long, but I've got a whole history with the Lyra, and it kind of does. I love it, but it kind of does one thing.
Yeah, I wanted it for so long, and then like I used my pandemic COVID thing from the government to buy one, but I've still got that because no one wants to buy it. And I keep thinking like I should give it one more go, but I think it's just not for me. Like, it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad it exists, but I can't use it in what I want to do, I guess.
It certainly won't do anything like what you've done so far with M Tate. It's not for that.
No, that's yeah.
Well, we talked all over 29, 8, 24, but what was special about that one?
That one, I guess in some of my early albums when I was doing it on the computer in Ableton, there's like a Spitfire 3 choral labs plugin you could get, and like the choral sound in loads of reverb I really love, and I think in that song, the 2908 one, I've got close to approximating sort of a choiry sound just through synthesizing stuff, because there's no samplers involved in that or anything. That's purely sound design to get there, and I think that's really beautiful, the way sort of the fake voices like lap against each other and overlap and interact with all the reverb and the nice pad sounds that I've got going on there. I think that's maybe, well, that's the last track on the album, I think, and they're quite nice bookends. That's sort of what I'd like to be about, I guess.
Perfect. Well, you bookended it for us. Listeners, you can stream free or buy, which I recommend, 2024 recordings at mtate.bandcamp.com. Link in the description. Matt, no judgment, but if people do want to listen on a streaming platform, is it on there?
Yes.
Okay. So it is there.
Now.
If you want to look it up. Anything else to plug? Don't go anywhere, of course, but anything else to plug at the end of this episode?
Not really. I've got an Instagram. Sometimes I make little videos to go along with the music that I put on there. If you're in Sheffield, I've got a gig coming up at some point in June. I don't know what date it is yet. I don't think it's booked yet, but it's going to happen. I think really.
Cool. Well, we're recording a couple weeks ahead, so if you send me, when we're done, your Instagram, I'll link to that. Send me the gig details when they're finalized, and if the shows aren't already out, I'll put them in the notes, or obviously you'll probably put something on your Instagram about the show details for the for the Sheffield crowd. For my plugs, I do have t-shirts. I'm wearing one if you're watching on YouTube. We do have t-shirts to kind of in coordination with the Darker Dimensions crossover event albums that I've been putting out. So you can still pick up this t-shirt design. And obviously MrFuriousRecords.com. Links to Datura Records in the description. And Matt will be back next week in podcast time for another discussion. Until then, this is Dat Fury Radio.